Hello and welcome to the New You, Health and Happiness Hour, with certified nutritional therapist, Gerald Kostecka. At New You, your improved health and happiness is our mission. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the New You founder and creator, and your host, Mr. Gerald Kostecka.
Hello and welcome to this episode of New You Health and Happiness Hour with Gerald Kostecka. I am Gerald Kostecka, your host, and I'd like to say welcome. So today we've got something very exciting for you to check out. You know, the New You program is about discovering an all over New You. It's about, healthy eating habits. It's about physical activity. It's about finding new things that are going to help you create the new you. Now realize there's nothing really wrong with the old you that some adjustments can't fix, okay? The thing I want most people to understand out there, actually I want everybody to understand this, you're not broken, okay? You just might be lacking some knowledge, some techniques, and some skill sets to take you to that next level in improved health. And we take a real holistic approach when it comes to the New You program. And a lot of people don't even understand what holistic means. Holistic actually does not mean you sit by the river singing Kumbaya. I know a lot of people think that's kind of what it is, but that's not what it is. All holistic means is that it's an all body approach. It's talking about how your entire body, all the systems interact and work with one another to create a harmonious just life for you within your own skin. And that's what holistic actually means. Well, one of the things that a lot of holistic practitioners advise and actually participate in is yoga. And we are joined today by a special guest, someone who I've known for a very long time. His name is Luke Ketterhagen. Luke has been in the yoga arena for quite some time. But instead of me telling you all sorts of great things about Luke, because there's just so many to tell, I'd rather have Luke, the old hear it from the horse's mouth. So I'd rather have Luke tell you a little bit about his experience, things that he has done in the world of yoga and health and wellness in general, so that we can start creating a foundation that's going to help you today. That's the best part. This is not one of those videos that you need to watch and then go watch 20 other subsequent videos in order to get anything out of it. We're actually going to be covering some things today that by the end of this video, you are going to be able to help improve your health. So without further ado, Luke Ketterhagen, welcome, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for the introduction.
Absolutely. So why don't you just tell everybody kind of like your background and, how you got into the world of yoga and health and wellness. And once we kind of, everybody understands what a master you are at this, we'll get into some techniques that people can actually learn today.
Okay, that's super. Well, I have to give you a little bit of background for context. My father had studied yoga and meditation way back when. And, we were always like, Dad, if you talk about this in public, we'll disown you. And, because we were in a conservative area of the world and it was not cool. And so fast forward, I get to my senior year of high school and I'm on the football team. And one of our code of ethics is not to attend a drinking party. Well, my prefrontal cortex is not quite developed yet. So I go out and have a great time, come back and, try to tiptoe in the house. My dad comes to my room and he said, you need to sleep right now, but in the morning we're going to talk. You need to turn yourself into your coach. And I didn't sleep much that night. So, because sports was everything to me at the time. Well, I wake up and I think, my dad's a meditator. He's into yoga. He's going to be like, he's just going to be like, Luke, don't do it again. Right. Well, I get down, eat my oatmeal. And Dad's like, you broke your team rule. You have to turn yourself in. You have to hold yourself accountable. And all my other friends' parents were just collecting keys. And it was cool. But my parents didn't play like that. And I said, Dad, you don't understand. I'll do anything. And he said, okay, meditate with me every day before school for 20 minutes. If you miss a day, you turn yourself in. Well, it meant so much to me, Jerry. Football and sports. I didn't miss a day. So I was coerced in a way as a punishment to be in meditation. And, I was uncomfortable, sitting for a while. I was tight, I was looking at the clock, tick, 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 the longest 20 minutes of my life, that kind of thing for a while. But then fast forward, I get to college. So after I finished my commitment to my dad, I didn't keep practicing. But I got to college. I went to Marquette University, and I was in a biomedical science major, and pretty intense: organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, physics, histology, microanatomy, the whole nine. And but I loved it, but it was a lot. And I found myself at midterms getting quite stressed out. And it flashed on me in a way I hadn't thought of before, even though it was a punishment of sorts. I felt at the end of those 20 minutes, not first couple of days, weeks, but as we went on, I felt more calm. I felt more relaxed. And I thought, I wonder if I do it on my own now. And so I sat, on the edge of my bed, and it brought my energy down. It brought my stress level down. It brought such a level of calmness and clarity that I went in and did what I needed to do. But that started its own momentum. So I graduated from Marquette University with a degree in biomedical sciences, and did great, crushed all my courses, everything. But the MCAT got a little bit the better of me. One of the 4 parts did. I studied, took the Kaplan test prep course, all this stuff. But I got to the fact that I didn't get a good enough score to get an interview. So I thought, wow, what am I going to do? So I indirectly, before it was a cool thing to do, I took a gap year. So my gap year was going out to the Himalayan Institute, which is a 400-acre campus known as the Harvard of yoga. And I just immersed myself in yoga, meditation, natural health, all sorts of things for this whole year. So I took the test again in the MCAT again while I was at the Himalayan Institute, and so crazy, I got the exact same score. It was like they took a photocopy of my last test. I had to check the date in the top corner because I thought, gosh, maybe they got something wrong on their admin level. Well, I asked the director there, and I said, my goal has always been I wanted to help people, and I, but I got the same test score. And he kind of smiled and laughed. Yeah. And I said, what should I do? He said, well, Luke, do you want to help 100 people as a doctor? Or would you like to potentially help 100 doctors? And I thought, okay, well, that was like beyond my realm, but that's exactly the direction I was hoping to go. And I said, well, gosh, my goal has always been to help as many people as possible. How do I do it? He said, well, I'll teach you. And so he put me on a list to go through a yoga teacher training program that following August. And I finished it. And since August of 99, I've been teaching and training and traveling. We opened up a studio in Dallas and a studio in Union Square in New York City and Westchester County. And we moved to Los Angeles and opened a studio in Santa Monica and Venice and our house, and just building community and helping and sharing all these tools and techniques that helped me so much. And then I started taking people to India and all sorts of things, but all around the idea of how do I share what helped me.
That's a fantastic story. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you also meet your wife when you were at the Institute? So
yeah, that's exactly right.
You got like double duty there, man. It's you came away with an amazing education that has become so useful and helpful for so many other people. Plus, you completed that part of your life because your wife is wonderful. I like her a lot. She's just a sweetheart. So and I'm going to throw this one out there for all the guys watching this.
Yeah.
Luke is a very handsome man. Luke, how tall are you? You're like 6'5".
I'm 6'4".
6'4"? Okay. Luke is an impressive guy. Well, he married a former Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Okay. So anybody who's my age, 55, you already right now, if you're a guy, you hate Luke because he did what all of us wish we could have when we were in school back in the, in the late 70s and 80s when it was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys head to head all the time, man. And it was those cheerleaders that we were all like, woohoo. Well, Luke scored, okay, and it wasn't at the football game. So, but no.
And funny story, Jerry. Before we were a thing at the Himalayan Institute, I was her favorite yoga teacher.
Oh, hey. So maybe she was just trying to get an A, man. I don't know. I'm just saying. I guess you don't really get an A like that, though, do you? It's more about how to do everything. But
right.
But Luke, thank you very much for kind of filling in the gaps for the people who are watching this that might not be familiar with you. I encourage them to find out more about you because that this right here, guys, just so you know, this is just that little superficial scratch that of Luke, telling you about his experience and everything, because he does have a lot of experience. And I actually met Luke as a result of the water business that we've both been a part of for many, many years. Luke is actually he became one of the members on my direct sales team through another contact of mine, and that's how I actually met Luke. And it's actually been great because that's a lot of the people that have been influential with me over the last nearly 17 years now, since I've been part of this. A lot of them came from that world, and a lot of them were holistic health practitioners. They were, yoga people. They were, all these different people that took a much different approach and look at health. The United States healthcare system is fantastic for emergencies, but not for maintenance, not for actual health. Let's be real. We have a sick care system, not a healthcare system. Health, if you really want it, that's your responsibility. If you think a doctor is going to keep you healthy, you have to remember, you not being healthy is what keeps them in business. Okay? Let me say that again. Your doctor not having you healthy is what keeps them in business. Okay? It's a harsh reality, but it's one that I think, the New You program, what we talk about is personal responsibility, assumption of personal responsibility, especially when it comes to your health, because nobody is going to care more about your health than you do. And don't kid yourself into believing that somebody's going to. Don't kid yourself that because your doctor's nice to you for the 5 minutes that he sees you, when he walks in there, glances at your chart, makes a little bit of small talk, and then writes you out a prescription and walks away. Trust me, there's no love lost there when he leaves. He's on to the next person because that's how he makes his living or she makes their living. Okay. So one of the ideas about New You is to teach you techniques to empower you with knowledge so that you can start putting into action and practice these different techniques and things that are going to really help you improve a lot of different facets of your life. Because I like to say that health is there's a lot of domino effects, that when one thing gets pushed over, it knocks something else, that knocks something else, that knocks something else. And sometimes as we are going through that improved health journey, we will have improvements that end up creating benefit we never expected, which is a fantastic thing. That's why, once you decide to commit to your health journey, and I'll be honest with you, to me, that is the most difficult part, is actually committing, because that commitment means good, bad, or indifferent. I'm in this. I'm going to do it. And because I deserve it. But once you commit to it, all the rest of it, it can be fun because you get to learn things. You get to try new things. You get to experiment a little bit. You get to play. You get to have fun. That's what health should be about. A lot of people, they think when they hear the word health, they think negative thoughts. And it should be just the opposite. When you think about health, that should be nothing but positive. Okay. So today, Luke, as we had discussed, we were going to talk about a couple of different techniques that people can employ to, again, kind of create that foundation on which to continue to build their improved health. So today, folks, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about breathing, calming, and improving your sleep. So, Luke, why don't we go ahead and start with learning proper breathing techniques? And if you want to kind of maybe walk us through, maybe give us a little bit of theory behind it, and then we can actually get into some of the techniques. And I'll be your guinea pig. You tell me what to do, and I'll, unless I have to ohm and do all that stuff, man. But I can do that too. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, no, nothing like that, Jerry.
No,
So,
okay.
it's really important actually on the onset of thinking about breathing is a couple of real key points. Number one is that breathing is both voluntary and involuntary. You don't have, if you don't think about breathing, you will keep breathing. And if you do think about breathing, you will actually start to, and focus on breathing, you actually start to appreciate and understand the implications that good breathing has for you. What that means, actually, the fact that it's voluntary and involuntary, is that you have now, you get a chance to take the reins of breathing. What you're talking about, personal responsibility, Jerry, it's exactly the foundation of breathing. We breathe on the average of 21,000 times every day.
Wow.
Yeah. And when we breathe, we actually also, and this is another key component, breathing is the one of the 9 internal organ systems. There's basically nine internal organ systems. There's the nervous system, the endocrine system, the circulatory system, the digestive system, the urinary system, the reproductive system, the respiratory system, the lymphatic system, and the immune system. Out of those 9, only one is you have direct control over. That's why the first part of knowing that it's voluntary versus involuntary, right? Your digestive system, sure, we have an impact on what we consume and to some degree how good we're at it, but we cannot directly say, hey, okay, let's add a little bit of more milliliters of hydrochloric acid. Let's, it doesn't work like that.
I think the
pancreatic amylase.
I was going to say, I think the closest we can come is taking a Tums after we eat some spicy stuff. That's probably about the closest we can come to having any kind of control.
Right. And so that's so important now. But the other part of this about breathing is that it has, and this goes to the domino effect, what you just talked about, Jerry. It has an indirect impact on all the other 8 organ systems of the body. So indirectly, you can focus on directly you can focus on breathing, and indirectly, you can have a domino effect on everything else. So that's what makes breathing such a massive and impactful practice and understanding. So now, one other part of this, before we get rocking in some technique, is that there's different ways to breathe. And that's important to understand too. You can breathe through your nose. You can breathe through your mouth. What's the benefit of doing one or the other? Well, the nose has a filter. So we want to breathe through the nose for that reason. But also, the nose, the right and the left nostrils are connected to the autonomic nervous system in the sympathetic and parasympathetic sides of the autonomic nervous system. So when we breathe through the nose, we're constantly creating a balance in the autonomic nervous system, which is the governing body that regulates hormone secretion in the body, and all the things in the body that help us find a balance. Also, when we breathe through the nose, we actually tend to breathe a little bit deeper. Try this, Jerry, real simply.
Okay.
Just open your mouth and just take a couple of breaths. Notice where you breathe. Notice how you breathe, the volume with which you breathe. Yeah, just do it again, one or two more times.
Okay.
Yeah. Now close your mouth, just seal your lips, and breathe as many times as you just did, but do it through your nose. And notice again, where you're breathing generally in your body, what's moving when you're breathing, and notice the volume and the pace of your breathing. You can take a little bit more breath in, and there's a little more calming impact as a consequence. So now the other part of this, you can breathe here up in the chest, where your clavicles, the collarbones lift, your shoulders rise up, your chest lifts up. That's actually not the deepest way to breathe. The diaphragm at the bottom is the main muscle of respiration. It's just like a parachute. And when you inhale, this parachute presses downward in all directions. And when you exhale, the parachute retracts and it comes back up.
Okay.
And the exhale, it pushes on the bottom of the lungs, and the lungs expel air. Lungs aren't a muscle, despite what some people may think. It's a sponge. It's compressed and it's expanded, but it's not. It doesn't do it on its own self. It does it by its surroundings.
Isn't the function of the lungs actually more to collect the oxygen in order to filter it through to the bloodstream, and then kind of take the waste products as you exhale? Because I don't think most people understand that when you breathe out, you're actually exhaling like stuff. It's like garbage. You're getting rid of it, and that's one of the reasons that good breathing technique. One of the reasons it might not be the same. 7th grade, man, I was in choir, and my teacher did the whole deep breathing and all this stuff. And my son Nathaniel's been a singer since he was 5, so he knows all these breathing techniques and everything too. And that kid, man, he can take a breath and hold a note for a minute and a half, which is insane.
Wow.
So I mean, it's breathing I know is very, very important. I know that's very important.
It's really important. You're right on the money in terms of the nourishing and the cleansing components. When you inhale, obviously we're taking in as much oxygen as we can. We're transferring it to the hemoglobin, which is taking it throughout the whole blood, and then that creates a release, and we oxygenate the whole body. And then this has an affinity for carbon dioxide, so it gets the carbon dioxide, comes back up, and then it creates this whole cycle. But Jerry, what's really important for people to understand is all of that process happens in these small little cells, these little sacs called alveoli. Okay, that's where the gas exchange happens.
Okay,
the majority, 95% of all the alveoli is at the bottom of the lungs.
Okay,
right where the diaphragm is.
Okay,
so we're more successful at the oxygenation and detoxing, if you will, of carbon dioxide, the slower and deeper we breathe.
Okay, because it's getting down into the very cells that do all the work.
Exactly. It's like an upside down tree, if you think about it, Jerry. The trachea is the trunk. So that all the leaves and the branches it's upside down. Those are all the alveoli, the cells at the bottom.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard it explained like that. That's a really excellent. There will be a graphic of an upside down tree right here.
Yeah, it's a nice image to think about, that all those leaves on your upside down tree, they need to get oxygenated.
Right.
And we don't do that by
shallow breathing.
Right. We do it by letting the breath be calm and dropping down into the bottom of the lungs, the bottom of the ribcage. So take your hands. It may be hard to see me in my position, but take your hands and place them right at the bottom of your ribcage. I don't know if you can see my hands.
Okay.
Here. So not here up at the chest.
Okay.
So right here at the bottom of the ribcage.
Okay.
So now, when you relax and breathe, this area, it moves outward like a bucket handle, kind of moves out sideways.
It does.
Like that.
It does.
Okay. So hold your hands there.
Okay.
Now relax your shoulders.
This is relaxed, man. I'm just muscular.
Yeah, no, you just I can tell. Yeah. And rest around your chest and rib cage. Now it's real important to remember.
It's
Go
funny,
ahead, Jerry.
I've got my hands sitting there, but I've got my fingertips when I breathe in, they come apart, and when I blow it back out, they touch. And so I can literally feel it expanding and contracting. And I mean, that's kind of cool.
That's cool. And that's exactly what's going on. The respiratory diaphragm is pushing down and expanding that whole entire area from the bottom of the rib cage that's not hard connected. It's connected by cartilage to the torso, but then it's all the soft air, the abdominal organs. They're expanding into that whole space. That's why you're feeling all this movement. Yep. Now,
okay.
Close your eyes, Jerry. Do it. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're just feeling breath come in and breath go out. And you're feeling that you're actually inviting your breath to come down deep to where your hands are. You actually have to do less.
Wow. I could feel it way down low. On that one, that was way down low. That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah. And then just rest your hands.
Because I'm, like you had said, I'm focusing on it, and that focus is actually changing that breathing. It's changing the way that I'm breathing. So that's wow, cool. All right, everybody at home, I hope you're doing this too. And if you're not, rewind this right now. Go back to where I put my hands here and do the same thing, and you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it.
Yeah. And we'll this is not the format for that, but we'll have specific postures and specific things that we would do that would support the realization, the understanding, the learning of how to let that area release and let breath come deeper.
Gotcha. I think for people that might be brand new, they've never yogaed in their whole life, I think that just this little exercise in feeling the difference, I think that's a big thing. Is that, I know for me, it's like, I don't need to be convinced of a whole lot if I know something's happening. So I think that's we're going to have videos in the future where Luke is going to be talking about very advanced techniques. We'll be doing poses and all sorts of stuff. This one was just to have a basic introduction so that people who maybe are not, look, I think one of the things in health and wellness that gets a lot of people is intimidation of the unknown.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is introduce this to you very simply with very basic, initial type techniques and things, so that you can start putting some of these things to good use immediately. You don't have to be a 20-year veteran in yoga to get something out of it. Just some basic breathing techniques that get you to kind of understand how your focus on it is going to change the way that, like the breaths that you're coming in, you're going to get more energy just from, getting that big rush of oxygen into the body and being spread out through the body. You're going to start feeling that. But like for me, that was very good, Luke. Being able to actually feel that happening, because like I said, I know something's happening. I can feel it. I could actually. It was weird because the first couple times it didn't do that, and then when you said close my eyes, and I really brought in that deep breath even through my nose, man, it was. I felt it. I felt it down deep. So that's I'm excited about this, and I hope everybody out there is excited for this too. So follow along, guys. Okay, follow along.
Yeah. Now the reason that closing your eyes helped out some too, Jerry, is that we're such visual people. Right? We're constantly taking so much in through our eyes. So once you close your eyes off, so much of your brain and your awareness now is looking for what else? What can I go now clamp on to?
You wake it up, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's like the difference between watching a movie in a theater with all the lights on and then turning down the house lights. All of a sudden, man, certain other things become extremely clear. Now, for this one, we want to close the eyes completely. But that darkness opens up so much other stuff inside of you. So no, that was a very. I was kind of wondering why. I was wondering why exactly did it do that? But that totally makes sense. So okay, all right,
yeah.
So that the deep breathing, is there a way? Because in through the nose, out through the mouth. I mean,
Yeah.
are there some specific techniques that we can share with the folks today that is going to allow them to maybe, just Luke, I think most people these days, they're going through all sorts of stresses, problems, everything. And if somebody can just maybe scoot away for like 5 minutes, you know, to just be able to maybe employ some of these breathing techniques to just kind of be like, okay, let me just chill for a second and get my bearings again. So can we maybe focus on something like that real quick, as far as just something somebody can do? I know calming is one of the things we're going to be discussing, but just kind of basic, I'm going to call it this: take back control of your breath.
Yeah. Jerry, this is a great one.
Okay.
It's actually, when I lived in Venice, I would go to Santa Monica and I would teach class. Well, I had to go on Wallgrove, and Wallgrove at the time was just jammed. You cross Venice Boulevard and it's bumper to bumper, and it takes a long time. But I would make sure I get to the studio a couple minutes before I start teaching. And I would park in the lot and, roll the windows down just a little bit, turn the car off, put it in park, sit, and just close my eyes and do this breathing practice, what I'm going to show you in just a second. Okay. Well, what happens? So what I want to encourage people to do, just what you said, Jerry, about 5 minutes, right? You don't need much more than that, actually. But if we get in a regular habit of doing a couple minutes, 5 minutes here and there through the course of the day, it has a cumulative impact, okay, right?
That makes sense.
Because, Jerry, just think about your experience. Your cumulative impact of that breathing practice with the hands on your rib cage, what you just said was the first ones, it didn't do that. And then it started to do that. And then you closed your eyes and it was even that much more. That's the cumulative impact in your experience was in real time.
Awesome.
Right? So that's why we want just pieces, but just realize that we're never the same as we were. Like Jerry, I can tell you this story, and anybody else out there, you can follow this practice. But you're already there. So now you start. Let's say you started here today. Next time you do this practice, you're not here anymore. Right. You're here. And the next time you do this practice after tomorrow, you're here. And then you're never the same. You're constantly ratcheting it up, and that's the cumulative impact of the practices. Even though they seem very simple. Oh, it's just breathing through my nose. No, believe me, your nervous system and everything inside is constantly learning and adjusting and grasping. Okay, so this one is just counting the breath.
Okay.
What we want to do is we want to even the breath out and take an equal amount of breath for inhale and exhale, or time rather. Okay. Everybody's length of breath is a little bit different.
Right.
So what I'm going to encourage you to do, and everybody else out there watching, is just relax and start breathing and start putting your breath to a count. So let's say you're inhaling 1, 2, 3, and you're exhaling 1, 2, 3. Now maybe it makes sense that you're 4, 5, or 6, or maybe it makes sense that you're just 2 or something, somewhere in that continuum. No judgment, no criticism, nothing. It's just a matter of finding your breath at a natural pace.
Your sweet spot.
Perfect.
So should it be in through the nose and out through the mouth, or should it be in through the nose and out through the nose, or what holes should I be using, Luke? use
these two ones. Two holes.
For both inhaling and exhaling? Okay.
Yep. Because of the nose's connection to the autonomic nervous system and the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, we're looking for balance. We're constantly looking for balance. That's what the nose is going to do. So you find your number. Take your time, too. You're not in a rush. And if you find that you're kind of reaching for a number, or pushing for a number, you haven't found your sweet spot. Okay, now you can have your eyes open. You can close your eyes. It's totally on you. You got your sweet spot. Okay? Now, the next time you exhale, add one number. So let's say your sweet spot was 4. You're going to exhale to the count of 5. And then you're going to inhale to the count of 5. And do that for a couple of breaths. Let's say 3 breaths. So you're inhaling to your sweet spot plus 1, and exhaling to your sweet spot plus 1, and inhaling to your sweet spot plus 1 for 3 breaths. If that's a good spot for you to do, stay there. Otherwise, add another number on the next time you exhale. So now you're at your sweet spot plus 2 for 3 breaths. Exhale and inhale for that sweet spot plus 2. And again, see where you are in terms of your capacity, without judgment, without criticism. Just understand, if this is the right spot, you stay here. If you'd like to, add one more. So now you're at your sweet spot plus 3. Exhaling out, sweet spot plus 3. Inhaling, sweet spot plus 3. 3 breaths. And after those 3 breaths, now just forget about numbers. Just focus on, just sense how you feel.
I actually feel pretty good, actually. And so I started with a solid 4 on a slow count, and then I got to 5. I did 6, and I just did 7. So, wow.
And
it's weird. You can almost feel it like surging through you.
Yeah.
You know, Luke, you know me. I don't exaggerate stuff. You know, that's just not me. So the fact that I can feel it, to me, is an indicator that, something's happening. Something's going on. So, okay. So to the degree of doing that and maybe increasing it, what length of time or how many sets is advisable, and what should I be looking for as the outcome? What should the outcome be?
Okay, so it's really important to try not to put outcome as the goal, but put the technique as the goal.
So should that be the outcome? Should that be the outcome we're looking for? Is development of the technique?
And in a non-attachment or a lack of ambition or focus on what I'm going for, as opposed to being fully present in what the experience is.
Okay. So it's
because
less about what it's doing and more about what I'm doing.
Right. Because Jerry, what you said in your introduction also was, you start eating well, you start doing this, and all of a sudden you realize there's impacts you had no idea. Remember you said that? Yep. And that is exactly what is predicated on this philosophy. Is if you go into this practice saying, I want to get to this or do that, well, guess what? We've kind of limited ourselves to that. We have a very limited understanding of our potential. We might have great ambition towards our potential, all that stuff. But so if we focus on the technique's going to work. The technique's going to do stuff.
Okay.
If we focus on the technique, then it opens up the doors to everything that's even beyond, like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was connected. I had no idea I was holding on to that. I had no idea that was a potential.
So it's that all of a sudden becomes a whole bunch of that.
Yep.
That makes sense, because if you do focus on one thing, that's what your expectation is going to be. But if you're really not having the expectation of, like you said, a specific outcome, you let the outcome be what it's going to be, because it's probably going to be more even than what you thought it was going to be. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's again, Luke, if it sounds like it makes sense, and in application it seems to make sense to me, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's something that people can do, like right now, right? and just take like a couple of minutes to kind of decompress, basically ground yourself and control your breathing. Because again, it's funny, Luke, I think in this day and age, most people out there feel a real lack of control in their life. And I think that little techniques like this are creating a sense of not only creating control, but convincing yourself that you have that control, that maybe it can start spilling over into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
So I can see where this would, and I've done some poses and stuff in the past. Man, anybody who thinks yoga is like for sissies, you haven't tried it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, man, it can kick your butt. It really can, but in a good way. It's not like lifting weights where you're going to rip, muscle tissue and be so. I mean, it's so. No, this is good so far, man. I'm excited, Luke. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, so people could just take a couple minutes and find their sweet spot in the breath, and then add one number and take 3 breaths at that sweet spot plus 1.
Okay.
And then take their capacity and just say, you know what, this is my capacity today. Or it's be like, you know what, I'm a little bit more relaxed than I even started with. So then you add another number. So you're sweet spot plus 2 for 3 breaths, and do it again. And maybe go to sweet spot plus 3. And then after that, just be in the space of what you created. Because so much of in our process of learning about wellness and this new you, what we're doing is this: we're reconnecting with our own selves that we weren't that connected to yet. We're creating this new you, this more new relationship with us, which
with
is
ourselves,
the new us, the new you.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny because, like on almost every electronic device that we have, there's a reset button. But the most amazing machine that's ever been produced on this planet, the reset button is between your ears. And you have to activate it. You can't just push and be like, okay, we're good. You have to consciously think about it and do these type of things. So, okay. So that's wow. Okay.
Can I add one thing too, Gerald?
Absolutely, please do.
This idea of reset is so brilliant, and it not only takes you have to activate it inside of this stuff. We also have to plan and organize our lives to do it, because some people think, well, I'm just going to reset. Well, yeah, that's fine, but you really want to start. So for me, what I did, like I shared my example of teaching yoga in Santa Monica, I would make sure I got there a couple minutes, even if it was 2 minutes before I taught, and I just sat, turned the car off, put in park, turned the car off, and just said, close my eyes and just focus on breathing. But I knew that was my reset, and I built it into my schedule. If I was teaching at 6:30, I'm getting there at 6:25. So I could sit for 2-3 minutes and then walk into the class right on time. But one of the most important things to do for that reset is think about schedule, time.
So intention is a very, very important part. And I'm just going to let anybody watching this know that for me, and obviously, you said eyes open, eyes closed, whatever. But I can tell you, for when I was doing that breathing, I did it a couple times with my eyes open, and I did it a couple times with my eyes closed. And for me, the eyes closed was much more effective, because I found myself being distracted by just everything that is here. Because like you said, we're very visual. We're visual creatures. And so it's by closing your eyes, you're basically dulling one sense and I guess kind of energizing the other ones by closing that off, and you can get in touch with a little bit more. So for anybody who might be trying this for the first time, I'm going to suggest trying it with your eyes closed. Now, I know there's some people that they can get like vertigo and all sorts of weird stuff depending on the situation. So obviously, if it doesn't work for you, then don't go that route. But I think for most people, it's a good thing. And I'm going to also suggest something else. You do this, turn your phone off for that 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, so that there can't be a distraction of an incoming call, because for whatever reason, people have started to deprioritize themselves.
Yeah.
Everything else is more important. Checking your status on Facebook or on Twitter, or checking for the latest this or that or whatever. It's like we're creating those as like our priorities. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people are suffering with health issues right now, is because we've forgotten how to prioritize the things that are actually important. And we're manufacturing these important things that really, in the big scheme of things, they're not important. They're part of our daily, but important, I don't know about that. So it's like that was another thing. Because I know we have such an electronically driven world now. It's very easy to kind of get distracted and here and there. So if you're going to employ this or any of the other techniques that we talk about today or in the future, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, that that little device was not meant for your benefit. It was meant for your attention. Okay, that's how the people that are behind it make money. They need to keep your attention. So just remember that. It's fine. Yeah, you want to keep making rich people richer. Yeah, that's great. But every now and again, man, set that thing down. Remember that the real priority looks back at you in the mirror every morning when you get up, and it's the people that are around you that you love and that love you. That should be the priority number one, and that's why caring about this stuff should also be a priority. It's funny, Luke. I just saw a thing, and I actually made a little video about it on one of my walks. I saw a question posed on Facebook, and it said, "Parents, would you die for your child?" And I thought, yeah, what, as a parent, I think most parents would say yes. But then it followed it up with, but the real question is, would you live for your child? Meaning, would you set aside your own bad habits and force yourself to do the things necessary to be around as long as possible for your kids? Because it's real easy to say, oh, I would die for my kids. Really? How many people actually ever have to prove it? Not too many. But you could prove that you'd be willing to live for them on a daily basis. So for any of the parents out there, think about that. Really think about that. Would you live for your kids? Because dying for them, or at least saying that you would, that's actually pretty easy to do, to say that you would. But putting into action that you would live for them, that's a whole different animal. It's a whole different animal. So, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's a really good point, Jerry. That's a really good point. It's about, the prioritization of things too, and knowing what we really can control. We can control how much we eat, what we eat. We can control, how we breathe. Hopefully this session today gives some, some enthusiasm to people to really say, hey, you know what?
Hey, you know what? Control. If it doesn't, on them. It's giving me enthusiasm. I'm excited about this, man, because, hey, you know what, Luke? I can use this. I can use this, man. And I know that. And that's the thing. One of the things that I always tell everybody is, the whole new you concept came as a result of my personal experience. Yeah. That's how I gauge most things in my life, is that I've actually experienced it myself. Yeah. Do I need this? 1,000% I do. And I know I do. I need to ground myself. I do. Because, man, I got a lot going on, and most of it's between my ears. Yeah. Okay? That's my reality. And I do need to calm myself sometimes. And so, trust me, if nobody else watches this video, I'll rewatch it 1,000 times, just because of the fact that I want to make sure that I hone in on things that are going to be able to help me. And, in this day and age, someone coming to you and saying, I'm going to help you and it's not going to cost you a dime, that's few and far between. So you've got an expert with 23 years of applied experience, and then you've got the schooling before. I mean, it's like you've got a long time vested into this, and people are being able to take this video and benefit from that, and look for that too. I want to make sure that I do say I appreciate you making the time to be here today to put this on tape and share this information with other people, because as more and more people are finding out about the New You program, they're discovering just how valuable this information is, especially because there's a lot of information out there that people don't apply.
Yeah.
and that, everybody says that knowledge is power, and I say no, shenanigans. No, it's not. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Knowledge is potential power. But if you're not applying it, man, it's nothing. So thank you for today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate that. So as far as the initial breathing techniques, is that pretty much the one that we were just going to focus on that one? And then should we kind of go into the calming one? So now, okay, so we now have a basic breathing technique. And again, it's anywhere from 2 to 5 breaths that are comfortable, in and outs, counting those 3 sets, try to increase them up to about 3 additional, whatever's comfortable for you. And that's the other thing too, right, Luke, is that this is more about you. This is not just a one size fits all. It's what's comfortable for you, what you're able to do, with the goal of being to increase your capacity and capability. As you did that so eloquently when you were like, it goes here, 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 and it's like that is the way things work. So okay, so that's the first the initial breathing.
And then one other thing, quick to add to that, Jerry, too, is people need to realize that the simplicity of the practices the repetition of the simple practices doesn't mean that it's not benefiting or adjusting ourselves, because we constantly are shifting and adjusting based on the world. We're constantly getting distracted to go here, moving in this direction. And so we constantly have to bring ourselves back. Now, we'll get better and quicker and more efficient at doing it with practice. That's really important to know too. So just even that practice in the beginning with the hands on the bottom of the rib cage, that's an extreme. And touch is so powerful. Just your hands on the very bottom of your rib cage, just feeling that warmth from your own hands onto your body and feeling that touch and the movement reconnects, and that actually creates a real grounded awareness. That practice does. Then from that, then you could go to the counting of the breaths if you wanted to link them, or use them individually.
Okay, cool, great. That's great advice. Okay, so if we were going to learn some basic calming techniques. So we now know some basic breathing. So we can breathe and we can oxygenate our blood and we can kind of get ourselves re-energized and kind of reset. And like you said, you know what? I think a lot of people, before they go into the office, before they go into work, because pretty much no matter where you live now in the United States, you hit traffic of some sort. I mean, unless you're like living in a one-horse town, type of thing. Yeah. So, and I think there's the levels of stress in 2023, I think, are higher than they've ever been in the history of our history as people. Understanding that and just being like, okay, cool. Let me mark that one off. I just got myself a little technique that when I get to the office, before I walk in there, because even that, has anybody ever pulled up to work and just a feeling of dread just washes over you, and you haven't even gone in yet? Nothing's happened. You're concocting it in your mind. And so by doing this breathing technique, it's going to allow you to maybe give yourself the chance to block that wave from hitting you, because you've reset your mind by taking control of something about your body, which that's pretty impressive in itself. So, okay, so now we just got to work. We just did 3 to 5 minutes in the car. We're feeling okay. We got oxygenated. We're feeling a little bit more energy. We hop out the car. We go in. We get half the day of work done. It's a stressful day. We're at lunchtime. We know we need to calm ourselves. Luke, what do we do?
Well, it's so fabulous, because the breathing practices, any of the breathing practices that we do, are going to have such an impact on the nervous system as well as everything else. So it's going to center us, it's going to ground us, but it's also going to bring the nervous system down. Okay. So any of those practices could be repeated, but there's a couple other things that could work really nicely as well.
Okay.
Number one, we generally hold tension unconsciously in the body. If I think about some stressful situation, yeah, right, I'm there too, and or pressures or things, we start to get like this, and maybe the jaw gets clenched. Maybe there's a forehead furrows, and maybe we get a pressure on the head or the neck, we get a tight neck. All that is actually the embodying or taking on the mental stress. And when we get a chance to turn it off is through breathing, but also we can do a very simple physical practice.
Okay.
So what it's called tension relaxation practice.
Okay.
You're going to consciously bring tension to a certain part of your body and then hold that tension.
Okay.
Or let's say activation.
Okay.
You're going to hold that muscular activation.
Okay.
While you hold that activation, you're going to breathe. And then you're going to let it go. Let go of the activation.
Okay.
And see what's on the other side of that activation. See what's on the other side of that tension that you brought to the body.
Okay. So,
okay. And also really try to isolate, because what we're not very good at throughout the course of the day, because we're so focused on the world and doing our jobs and obligations, is really being really laser focused on that. What happens is it becomes kind of a wash. Why is my jaw clenching when I'm thinking about a report? I'm not masticating. I'm not chewing food. Why are my shoulders hunching up when I'm thinking about trying to finish this obligation? Because it's, this weight I'm carrying emotionally, right? So we want to create that relationship and understand that we carry stuff in our bodies that carry stress, which prevent us from being calm in situations.
Okay.
So if we can start to figure out how to understand how our body takes on that stress or tension, and we do it consciously, then we can start to see it when it starts to happen on the onset and be like, no way, I'm not doing that.
We can recognize it. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, so a lot of the stuff that we end up feeling physically, we manifest from mental activity. Stress and worry, and a lot of those negative type words that we use in our vocabulary. Those manifest into a physical thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of that is things that might not be very comfortable for us. So okay, so let's use me as a guinea pig. My shoulders. I carry my stress in my shoulders. I know that. So if I was going to do, let's say that I wanted to focus on my shoulders.
Okay.
How should I do it?
Okay. Well, but first of all, I would say, Jerry, even though we're going to focus on the shoulders, or the shoulders are going to get some attention, everything's connected.
Right.
Okay. So now you have to pretend that nobody's watching you and nobody's going to see you.
Okay. That's easy for me.
All right.
I don't care if they do anyway.
Okay, good. So you want to create all activation of all the muscles of your face. So what you're going to do is try to pull all the muscles of your face to your nose like this. Furrow your forehead, squeeze your lips, pull your jaw in. But now, Jerry, while you do that, you have to breathe.
Man, I was focusing so hard on smushing my face. How am I supposed to breathe? Okay, let me try this. Okay, but through my nose though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yep. So while you're scrunching your face up, while you're furrowing your eyebrows, you're pulling everything towards your nose. Take a couple breaths. And then, now relax all your effort of your face. Relax all the muscles all the activation. Now just notice, without saying anything, just notice how your face feels. Okay. And also notice, maybe without saying anything until later, notice how your shoulders feel as a consequence of what you just did to your face.
It was bizarre. And I don't know if this is normal, but it almost felt like when I released the tension from my face, and for lack of a better explanation, it felt like you know how a breeze will hit you, like let's say you're out on the beach, you're just wearing trunks. A breeze hits you and you can feel the air kind of like go against your body. It felt like wind blew against me, but inside. I don't know if that's like a good, like, that's what it felt like when I let go of it, it kind of went, I could feel it. I mean, I could feel it like that was, okay. So all I have to do is look like a crazy prune person and I can change my life.
Well, hold on. We're going to do more.
There's more? Wow, man, This is awesome.
So now,
okay,
Jerry, just only your left shoulder. I'm going to mirror you just because, for the camera reasons. Okay. So just draw your left shoulder up toward your ear. Up. It's like as high as you can. Now, right, while you hold that strength, make sure you relax your right shoulder. Yep. Holding left shoulder strong. Now take a couple of breaths. Then the next time you exhale, release your left shoulder down. Okay. Now take a deep breath in. And exhale. Now the next time you inhale, switch sides. Draw your right shoulder up. Up. While you do it, you're letting the left shoulder release. Now, while you hold the strength in your right shoulder, and while you keep your left shoulder relaxed, breathe. And also make sure that strength in your right shoulder is not in your right wrist, your right palm, your right fist, nothing, yeah? Next time you exhale, release your right shoulder all the way down.
You know what? All right, Luke, you take over. I'm taking a nap, man. No, seriously, man. My left shoulder's really been bothering me lately, and it feels a lot better. It feels a lot better. I've been having deep radiating pain from my shoulder, and it actually feels a lot better. That's
wow.
It was weird when I let this one go. Two things in my lower back cracked.
Yeah,
I found. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I do like to say, Jerry, that yoga creates like a natural chiropractic adjustment at times.
Okay, and I could see that because you're kind of
it's the muscles that pull the skeletal system in or out.
Right.
So if the muscles start to release, then the pressure across the joints releases, and there's a release across that joint, and sometimes it's a crack or pop, or you're like, whoa.
That makes sense. And if you're intimidated by a chiropractic, don't be. It is just a release of gases that are actually built up. It's not anything scary. They're not breaking your neck. They're not breaking your back. You know, it's actually one of my very best friends that of over 30 years was a chiropractor. He was 20 years my senior, and I always asked him that, and he said, "Yeah, Jerry, the human body's a lot tougher than people think." He goes. All this, walking up to somebody to break their neck. He goes, it takes a lot to break a neck, man. And he goes, he actually said most human beings don't have the amount of force necessary to be able to break a neck. And so, because we're pretty rigid, we're pretty tough. you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you're chiropractic is also one of those things that that I promote and I believe in, you know, because
Yep.
it's helped me considerably. So wow, no, that okay. So now basically let's say that if I wanted to do this, would I pretty much just do this with my whole body? Like, you know,
Yes,
tighten up a
exactly that.
leg. And is it
Yep.
is it more is it better if it's more specific locations or areas or generalized? So like, should I do my leg or should I do my ankle, my calf, my thigh?
No, you because all those muscles are really connected. So the next thing we would do if we were to do the rest of the upper body, then
Uh-huh.
you would take your fists and
Fist,
squeeze your
okay.
fist. But as soon as you squeeze your fist, it also gets your forearm and your
Right, it tightens
bicep.
up. Right.
You can do this whole strong, exactly. And you can do one side at a time and relax, or two and release. Yep. 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 And as you exhale, you
Ooh.
release.
You know, one of the neatest things is the
Yeah.
lightness.
Yeah.
It feels it, and I don't know if that's just because of the muscle tensing and just what that, you know, is about.
Well, people have to realize too that a lot of like if you ever got a massage, you know, when the massage is when the muscle's in spasm and the muscle releases, there's this great sense of lightness and openness and
Yeah.
energetic release. That's the muscle releasing.
Wow.
So then if you're seated or standing, you can just, you can squeeze your buttocks.
Okay.
Like just, and you can isolate the buttocks and the pelvis. Then you
Okay.
can do one leg, thigh, all the way down and point the toes or flex it. You have to be careful because sometimes when you point the toes a lot, you get a cramp in the bottom of
Cramp,
your
right?
foot. Yeah. And that's just comes with
Drink
practice
some
too.
water and eat a banana.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, you do. And then, Jerry, if you're doing this on your back,
Okay.
you can do the whole body at the same time.
Oh, just kind of.
You squeeze all the muscles of your face. You pull your shoulders in. You squeeze both fists. You squeeze your buttocks. You squeeze and point both legs. Your feet. Your whole body.
Just
And you
tense
hold
everything up.
and then you let go.
So basically, electrocute yourself without the electricity.
Bingo.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to do that here because I'm not because if I lay down, you won't see me. But
Yeah.
I can tell you though, I'm going to try that tonight. I'm going to try that tonight. Now, okay, that's another good question. For something like this,
Yeah.
do you want to do this first thing in the morning, in the middle of the afternoon, before you go to bed? Is there a particular time that might be more advantageous for you to actually do this as a result of how it will affect your body?
Everybody's going to be a little bit different in their needs in that regard.
Okay.
I would say when you feel when you have it's mostly about time, Jerry. If you're a morning person and you got a couple minutes in the morning, do it, and it's going to set the stage for the rest of your day.
Okay.
If you're the kind of person who takes a lunch break and instead of going for lunch, you go for a walk and you have a little bit of bite to eat, you build time in the middle of the day and you have that time, do it in the middle of the day. Okay. If you're kind of the person who has a little unwind time at the end of the day, before dinner or right before bedtime. So it's more about time.
Okay, so just like everything else, it's really about the individual and what's going to work best for them.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so basically, I'm going to make some assumptions here, and obviously, if I'm wrong, smack me around a little bit. But if I'm right, tell me I'm so smart. I'm going to assume that. Oh, thank you. As a calming technique, that it's basically doing that rigidness. You're tightening everything else, and then you're just kind of letting it go. And it's that letting it go that is allowing, I mean, are we pushing like lactic acid out? Or I mean, like, what are some of the things that are actually happening behind the scenes, if you will? You know?
Right. So ischemia is the lack of oxygenation in the body.
Okay.
Ischemia is when a muscle spasms and it's so tight a spasm that blood's not flowing very well through that.
Okay.
So it's lacking oxygen. And and the spasm itself is a little bit painful.
Okay.
And we put up with that pain.
Right.
We put up with that stress all the time. You were just talking about your left shoulder. You know, we on a low level, we might be putting up with a pain in our neck or shoulders or back or hips, or we do it all the time.
Okay.
It's low level of lack of oxygenation in the body. So when you flex and when you crunch your body up, and on some level, you have to relax in order to breathe. So what you're doing is you're tightening your whole body up, and then you're saying, oh yeah, I have to breathe and relax on some internal level. What's that doing is it's helping the whole body release and rest some of that tension and stress that we carried unconsciously. And then when you let go further than when you started. It's like I gave this analogy of starting here, then the next day here. It's just the backwards, it's the opposite.
Gotcha. Okay. I can see where this would definitely help. I mean, I really can. That's wow. Man, okay. This is good, Luke. This is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there any other aspect of the basic calming techniques? And you know, I want to point something out too. Like for me, when I was doing my shoulder, one of the things I actually noticed is I was having difficulty keeping the rest of my arm relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that the natural is to just do the whole thing tight, you know, but it's like I was then when I kind of focused it on that, for me at least, it felt like it's kind of teaching me to have better overall control of my entire body. And I'm going to assume that the more control you have over your body, the more you can kind of control what it's doing, how it's feeling. And, you know, and I think the other thing is picking up on those stresses maybe as they're kind of starting to manifest, so that you so they don't build and become that, you know, that pain in the shoulder that every time I wake up I'm like, God dang, man, come on, you know. So no, that's okay. I'm liking this.
Yeah, it's exactly it, Jerry. It's actually, so this whole concept of new you, this whole concept of understanding who you are, means that you really have to own the fact that there's things unconsciously that we've done, you know, asymmetrically, a lot of cases. You know, I'm right-handed, so I did a lot of things right-handed, a lot more. So my right side is different than my left side, but through practice, yoga postures and things like that, you do asymmetrical postures, you do symmetrical postures, and one side is definitely different than the other, and you build this understanding, this balance, this strength, this coordination, this flexibility, and pretty soon what we took as just, well, that's just the deck, you know, the hand I got dealt. Pretty soon I get started to be like, oh wow, I really can impact that one area, that muscle, which I thought, oh gosh, that's just plaguing me all the time. But when we focus on it individually, and the better we get at focusing on it individually, the more we can not only see that we can let go of the stress in it, but we can also begin to see, gosh, maybe my shoulder pain is not really just my shoulder. Maybe it's coming from something else, that I'm carrying tension there, and it's referring to my shoulder. My shoulder is the weakest link in the chain.
Because that's where that is where pain and inflammation finds its house, in the weakest spot.
Yep.
That is a reality of the human body. And so that's a great point too. And also that was one of the things that I definitely learned through the information that I garnered as a result of being exposed to a lot of aspects of chiropractic, is that my buddy I'd say, man, I got a headache. And he'd be like, Okay, let me check something real quick. He'd adjust my hip and my headache would go away. And I'm like, man, you're a wizard. And he was like, and all he was saying is, he said, no, Jerry, what happens is when your body kind of gets out of whack, it will start making up for, it'll start adjusting and making adjustments. And that little out of whack in your shoulder could have been caused by your knee. It could have been caused by the ankle on your opposite. You know, it can always be something else. So I always found it to be very important to keep that in mind, so that, because like for me, I'm 55 years old. I've never broken a bone and I've never had a surgery at all. And I'm going to keep it that way, you know? So it's like when I start getting aches and pains and I'm like, oh man, this might not be good. I look at it in a different way. I don't run to the doctor and say, doctor, check me out and get your scalpel and cut my shoulder out. No, man, I want to heal myself because, hey, I was granted a body that was designed to heal itself. The only reason most people's don't is because we are messing it up. We mess up our own immune system. We mess up our own ability to heal ourselves by guzzling down sodas and eating tons of sugar and eating lots of sodium and, you know, all these preservatives that we're putting into our bodies and all these prescription medications that were never meant to ever wind up. I mean, if you really think about it, most prescription medications are poison to some degree. You know, just most of them are poison to the degree that they kill you. You know, so that's man. I honestly, Luke, I cannot believe how much better my shoulder feels. I really, I'm just kind of sitting here going, okay, man, this has been aching me for like the last 2 weeks, and I have had no relief whatsoever, and it feels much better. So,
Jerry, I got to be honest with you. Is, you know, I worked with so many people, you know, Zoom and Skype and in person. And what you're saying is like what I hear all the time. Okay, and so this is important. It's not Luke, right? But what it is the technique.
Okay.
The technique, the specific technique that you do is going to access something in the human body that takes it closer to health and wellness. That's what I meant too about, remember what I said earlier about let's just focus on the technique.
Okay. So
because if you went in thinking
I really and more about the message. Okay.
Bingo. And remember, and you said I'd like to focus on my shoulders, and I said, well, it's all connected. Let's focus on your face, and you are impacted. Your shoulders are impacted by your face.
It was that was. I think that I would. And again, you know, this is one of those examples of getting in your own way. You know, instead of me shutting my mouth and just listening and just do it, you know, I'm like, well, let's do this because I know that's where I'm experiencing some direct pain. So that's when my brain goes, oh, well, okay, let's focus on this. But then knowing what I know, I'm smarter than that. And you know, that my rationale should be, I've got something going on. I need to get everything in balance again. Everything. Because once everything's in balance, nothing's out of balance. And that's what you want. And just that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, Luke. Any other aspect of the calming technique for that you think we should know about or address, or should we go ahead and move on to a really important one?
Let's do one more, actually.
Okay.
And it's also simple, but let's not mistake it for unimpactful.
Okay.
So the breath is very subtle. We did more of a gross action work with the breath just moments ago, you know, hands on the rib cage, bottom of the rib cage, and, you know, shoulders up and breathing, and said all this stuff. What we want to do is, when we're talking about mentally calming, talking about mental health here, and again, it's all connected. However, this is real specific because there's not a lot of action. You're actually not going to do anything. I wouldn't, if you're standing here in the line at the grocery store or wherever, I would not know that you're actually doing this. That's why this can be really helpful too. You ever stand in the grocery store line where the person in front of you is pulled out their checkbook, and they're doing this old school cursive and they're pulling out their coupons, and it's just like it's going long, way longer than you were hoping. Anyways, just little things like this. So when your breath, so surrounding, let's say, generally, the outside temperature is less than 98.6 degrees. Generally.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm in Florida, so that might not necessarily be true.
Right. But I also heard, a lot of times you're not outside in that, but for a little bit, but
yeah,
but in AC in your car or house or store or
yes.
whatever. So then what happens is when you focus on the subtlety of your breathing, and you're focused right here at your nostrils, right at the right where the breath first comes in your nose. The breath has a coolness when you inhale.
It does.
Okay. Air comes in. It goes through your whole body. Oxygen goes through your whole body. Carbon dioxide goes through your lungs. You expel it. We went through all that already. Your body just heated that air up. So then when you exhale, the breath has a warmth to it at the tips of your nostrils. Okay. Can you feel that, Jerry?
Yes, I can, actually.
All right. So now that's your focus. It actually has a very calming mental consequence. Just the focus is on feeling the coolness of the breath as it goes into the nose when you inhale. When you exhale, feel that coolness replaced by a warmth.
Yeah.
Now, again, you can do it with your eyes closed or your eyes open, but I'd encourage, close your eyes. Focus on the touch of the breath at your nostrils and take 3 breaths. Paying attention to the coolness as it draws in through the nose on inhale, and warmth as air pushes back out through the nose, touching the tips of the nostrils with warmth. After your 3rd exhalation, open your eyes. Okay. Do you feel a little more calm, Jerry?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I do.
Excellent. Yeah. So that's such a great one that people can do anywhere.
I
anytime.
like that one because it gives you something specific to focus on.
Yeah.
It really does too. And it's funny. I've probably breathed through my nose before. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was this many years old today when I discovered that.
Yeah.
Wow,
and that's, and that's actually the fundamental, that's one of the fundamental principles of yoga.
Okay.
And all the aspects of yoga is that there are these very basic, you think about, it doesn't get any more basic than that. Feeling the touch of the breath here. There are fundamental things that all humans do, that all humans have the capacity for. That when we learn about them, when we're understanding this concept of creating the new us, the new you all of a sudden are accessing the most efficient way to be human and optimizing all the functions of the human body. You said early in the introduction, or you said earlier about the reset, this is the most advanced machine. We don't have a reset button, right? Most advanced. So all of that that's one of the fundamental principles of yoga is it's very, very simple. But it's
one of the things I always like to point out to people that simple does not mean easy. Because
correct.
Digging a ditch, simple. Shovel, dirt. It ain't easy.
Yeah.
But just like if you need a ditch dug and you dig it, simple and not being easy can also be very worthwhile.
Yep.
So don't let the simplicity fool you. That's one thing I've learned in life. I mean, heck, this right here was one of the most simple things I ever did one of the most impactful. Changing the water I drank. That was a huge thing for me and my family. I know it was for you too. And so
us too.
Like, yeah. Wow. Okay. So the last technique that we were going to talk about today is, I think, one that everybody could use, especially right now. And that's how to improve sleep. I think a lot of people are suffering. If it's not full on insomnia, it's things like bringing stress with you to bed, sometimes bringing a device with you to bed, and having this electronic thing in your face that is actually activating things in your mind that are supposed to be calming down when you're preparing for sleep. So, Luke, what can we do that is simple and basic, but might be able to help us fall asleep a little faster and maybe delve into a deeper state of sleep, so that in the morning when we wake up, we're better rested? I've heard so many people that first thing in the morning they just go, "Oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired." And I'm like, "Wait, didn't you just get done sleeping? Wasn't that what that was for?" So enlighten us, Luke, please.
Well, there's a couple things. Number one is our days are generally pretty busy. And so, the body, has carried some level of stress and tension. So doing some gentle stretching before bedtime can be really helpful. And that can be as easy as, I lie on the ground and just do a twist. Take the knees to one side, take the knees to the other side, open the arms out, let the head go back. Just even this, cradling the head and opening the shoulders this way, lying down on the back like this. That has a stretch through here, the deltoid, the chest, the shoulders. It releases the neck. It's so simple, but it's just a matter of creating groundedness and really, and then just letting your head be in the cradle of your hands and the elbows. Imagine you're lying on the ground, Jerry. Your elbows are releasing out to the floor. Can you feel that chest, shoulder, chest stretch across the shoulders and the chest? Yeah,
I can.
And it's so much more impactful, when you're lying down.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I mean, I could definitely see it. I do some stretching. I have to do it more. I will admit that.
Yeah.
I definitely need to do it more. But yeah, I'll do the, on my back, completely stretched out, one knee up, and then kind of going over and doing the reverse to do the, kind of like stretch out the lower lumbar muscles in my back. And then, like the knee lifts to the chest.
Yep.
I do those. Now, each one of those things, though, why do they help improve sleep? Is it because it's, I don't want to speculate. Why does it when you're doing those stretches?
Right. The body, if we lie down, or when we lie down, where the body is going to, sleeping is for healing, resetting,
repair.
Yeah, that's what happens. Even the kidneys are going into repair mode. That's why you wake up and they're not doing their filtration anymore. That's why you wake up and the more you're going to go, everything's going into your bladder. It's not going to recirculate it. The kidneys aren't saying, "Hey, we need more water here, hydration." No, you're probably dry, dehydrated, and you got to go to the bathroom. Even the kidneys aren't cleansing.
Okay.
But what happens is if we unconsciously go to bed with stress in the muscles, that stress isn't released. It's kind of
emanating.
That's why you wake up, you're like, oh, tossing and turning, I'm all tight and strong. But if you stretch a little bit beforehand, you're releasing some of that weight, stress from the day. And then instead of lying there and letting the hours of sleep go and your muscles trying to find a release and let go, they're already let go, and now you can fully rest. And the signals that the muscles have held. So here's another thought. Why did the muscles get tight from the day? So a lot of it is mental stress.
Okay. It's that manifestation we talked about a little while ago.
Right.
So your stress is turning into something physical.
Right. And because
Okay.
sleep is not you're not physically active.
Right. It's
Hopefully
just the
not.
opposite, actually. Well, you're supposed to be.
Exactly. But there's active energy in the body from stress from the day. We want to undo the active energy of the body from the day so that the mind the mind can go through the body and repair.
Okay.
And the muscles don't have to figure out how does a stress tensed muscle let go if it's not moving? And it's not been trained to let go. It doesn't
Well, it
happen.
doesn't.
Right. So that's why it works. That's why it helps so much. So then when you lie down and sleep and you're in repair mode, the muscles aren't trying to figure out, oh, how do I let go of this tense and stress tight muscle? No, I'm here. Now everything else is being like, okay, now how do the organs repair? Because then the attention can go to the organs and the attention can go to the brain and the mind as opposed to the musculature, the skeletal muscle system.
Okay. Again, that makes complete sense to me. I mean, that does. It makes complete sense. So just the basic stretching. And again, like for the arms out, it's just, if you let's say I was on my back and I'm just reaching out as far as I can.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's
yep. And then you said, the hug one, you're on your back, one leg straight, hug the other knee.
Right.
And first you let your body release down, your back release down, your head and shoulders release down, and you're stretching the hip. And then to stretch your back, because we use a lot of the back muscles throughout the course of the day to have upper, you're going to exhale and curl your forehead toward your hug knee.
Okay. Okay.
And then you release your head back again. And you'll do that a couple of times, maybe 3 times. And then, so all of it's connected, Jerry.
Right.
Remember this practice?
Yeah.
Remember this practice of here?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, and you're holding this strength and you're breathing, right? So then the third time you do it, you curl, you hug the knee to the forehead, you hold it, and you relax and breathe. You let your shoulders release down, your forehead maybe is coming toward your knee, your one leg is straight and you're resting it. So because sometimes that leg tightens up, no, I don't need you. You stay down, relax. And you're holding the other leg and the hip's doing its thing and you're breathing, and then you let go and you're like, oh. Then you do the other leg.
So let me ask you something, Luke, because I would almost think that there's almost like a psychological aspect as well. Like when you're breathing out and releasing, it's almost like a psychological, like you're expelling maybe some of that tension, some of that stress. And it might not be like, it's not like there's stress in your breath type of thing.
Yep.
But there's almost like that mental connection of doing that exhale as you're kind of releasing. And it's almost like, I just got this out of me. I got this away from me. Is that an accurate depiction as far as the?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. We are very, let's say, immature. That's got a negative connotation. We're very young, let's say, generally humans, at understanding the relationship between energy, thought, and physical, and breath. All of them.
How about infantile in our?
That's a great word for it. Yeah, we're real young. So why not, Jerry? Of course, that just the thought of exhaling and releasing and letting go could have a physical impact. Think about we use this language, man. Those thoughts were heavy. How could a thought be heavy, right? But then there's a physical component to the
way it weighs on you.
The energy of that thought weighed heavy on us. So now we have physical, energetic, and mental all wrapped up. So if we have impact on one, like we've been talking about this whole program, we have impact on one, it's going to impact the other two.
Right. Okay. Well, wow. Luke, we only covered 3 things, but it sure felt like we covered a lot. But I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap it up. You know, we want to keep them wanting more, and I'm looking forward to the things that we're going to be doing in the future as far as instructional videos. We're going to be working on some of those. We're going to do a couple more of these to help people with some of the basics in understanding yoga and how you can incorporate it into your daily life. Just like Luke said, you know, from going to work in the morning to standing in line at the grocery store to doing some things right before you go to bed. All of those things are going to start helping your body improve in a way that's going to make you start feeling better. And let's be realistic, that at the end of the day, that's really what we're after. We want everybody to be their best selves, and that means feeling the best that they can. It doesn't just mean that you get the best job that you've ever wanted, or your kids are the best kids. Remember that priority. Remember that the priority for you to have an impact in this world, you need to be at your top, and that means everything. So Luke, is there anything else that you'd like to end on for today's interview? I mean, you gave us some freaking gems, man. I really think that if people incorporate some of this into their daily routines, they're going to be very, very happy. But is there anything that you want to leave us off with as a closing note?
Just a couple of things, and just reinforcing what we've done is it doesn't take much to make an impact. What's more important is that something happens a little bit every day. So, you don't have to jump into I got to do a 90-minute yoga class. I got to do this. I mean, you can, but that's not super sustainable for a lot of people's lives, even a couple times a week. But 5 minutes, a couple of times a day, or even 5 minutes once a day for a while till you get a habit for a while, you'll notice that benefit. And then just for everyone listening, please think about this. This is really, really important. Please don't outsource your well-being. Don't outsource your health. You have to take the reins of your own health and your well-being. You have to be accountable. You remember what Jerry said earlier, is that no one's going to be more closely, more interested in your health than you. But that can be cliche if you don't really take ownership of it. So please take the reins of your own life, take the reins of your own health, and just a little bit. You deserve it, a little bit every day, and you'll feel okay, all right, a little bit easier, and it just keeps going. So that's it. Just enjoy.
Thank you, Luke, so much. So basically, folks, just a little bit each day will bring you to the new you. Luke, I want to thank you very much for being here. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Luke Ketterhagen. We are going to be doing more interviews in the future, so make sure that you're watching out for those. In the meantime, please take a look at everything that we have to offer at New You. You can check out our website at findingthenewyou.com. We have plenty of information over there. We've got our supplements line that we launched. Take a look at that, what we're doing. There's a lot of great stuff going on right now with New You, and we invite you to really take a look at it. If you could also do us a favor and like, subscribe, do all those things that we need you to do to kind of keep this channel going and be able to make this content and bring it to you so that it can benefit you, we'd appreciate your help with that. So until the next time that we see you, take care, get those steps in, drink plenty of water, try out some of these techniques that we talked about today. I think you're going to be very happy with the results. And until we see you next time, be safe and take care.